So the floor is all yours.
Well, thank you for having me back on. I love coming on and having these discussions. For those of you who don't know, my name is Kay Fellowz. I am a pro-life activist, first and foremost. Been a pro-life activist for almost 7 years now. I'm also a consistent life ethic activist. I believe that all human life is sacred and valuable, and that we should be protecting it from the beginning of life to the end of life. And that's sort of where my stance is on all issues. I'm not just anti-abortion, I'm anti-death penalty, anti-euthanasia, anti-assisted suicide, anti-war, anti-nuclear weapons. The list goes on and on. I just believe that all human life should be protected. And I like to use that consistently throughout all of my opinions in my life. I'm also a libertarian. I do a lot of political activism online and in my local community. I live in Philadelphia. I don't really know what else I can say in regards to myself, but I am looking forward to this discussion. I always look forward to talking to people about the abortion debate. I think that it's a really hot topic right now, and something that we really should continue to discuss. And I am looking forward to hearing a different perspective from mine, and maybe learning something new about the abortion debate that maybe I don't know. And looking forward to just having civil conversation. I think that debate should be civil and productive. So I'm hoping to get more of that tonight. I think that's really all I can say at the moment.
You got it. Thanks so much. Short and sweet. So we'll kick it over to Ben for his opening. Thanks so much for being back with us, Ben. The floor is all yours.
Yeah, my pleasure. So looking forward to talking to Kay. Name is Ben Burgis. I'm a columnist for Jacobin, host a show called Give Them an Argument. And let me start with something, I guess, to kind of lay out why my position is and always has been pro-choice. With something that might seem wildly off topic, but give it a minute, it will come to bear, which is this stat, right? So every year, 8,000 Americans die waiting for organ transplants. This is obviously a terrible human tragedy. 80% of those need a kidney, 20% other organs. And if you think about that, right, this is obviously a horrible thing. These are 8,000 men and women dying, who are losing years or decades of life that they might have left. They're leaving behind grieving children, parents, husbands, wives, friends. And it's not a quick death. It's terrible death. Organ failure, in some cases, we're talking about weeks of confusion, vomiting, feeling parts of your body go cold. So this is something that any decent person would want to avoid if they possibly can. And so you start thinking about what government could legitimately do to alleviate that tragedy. Well, one thing they could do would be to pour more money into more aggressive publicity campaigns about how important it is to sign up as an organ donor. And maybe that would help. But what if that wasn't enough? What else could we do? Well, I'm a socialist. So, of course, the first place my mind goes is that one reason that some people die on the organ transplant list is they don't get there soon enough because they aren't going to the doctor. Because they don't have health insurance, or they're worried about pay co-pays or other financial concerns, and that maybe if we had socialized medicine, more of those people would be saved. Kay just told us she was a libertarian, so maybe her solution would be something like, she'd think that, oh, maybe part of the problem is people don't have enough of an incentive to be organ donors, and if we had like a free market in organs, maybe that would do something about it. And I would have problems and objections with her solution, and she would have problems and objections to my solution. But one thing that we would presumably all agree on is that it would be totally unacceptable to use the power of the state to force people to donate organs against their will. That would be really wrong. That would be a huge human rights violation. It wouldn't kill you, right? You can live without one of your kidneys if you're a healthy person. And we could make it relatively fair. We could have like a draft lottery, like for the Vietnam War draft. And if your unlucky number came up, you had to donate a kidney. But again, I can't imagine that anybody really would support that. We would all think that was a huge violation of your right to control your own body. And well, this gets us back to the topic because, in my view, forcing a pregnant woman to remain pregnant is a far greater violation of bodily autonomy, of that basic human right to control your own body, than forcing somebody to give up an organ. So Margaret Olivia Little says in her brilliant paper, Abortion, Intimacy, and the Duty to Gestate, if you think that fetuses are people, then pregnancy is a far more intimate entwinement of two people than organ donation. A fetus literally inhabits a pregnant woman. It occupies her body. If a fetus is a person, it's a person whose blood is being oxygenated by the air being breathed into someone else's lungs. So if you think that it's wrong to cease to be inhabited by a fetus, then we're not just talking about a negative thing. Oh, it's wrong to do something to the fetus. You're saying that pregnant women have a duty to do something for the fetus, continue to keep it alive with their own body. Again, breathing the air that's oxygenated its blood, not doing reckless things that would end up killing it. And as a matter of fact, I don't think fetuses are people, at least not in the early stages of pregnancy. I agree with Judith Jarvis Thompson that a first trimester fetus is no more a person than an acorn is an oak tree. We're talking, I'm not a scientist, but when I look at what medical researchers say in peer-reviewed journals, it looks like the fetal brain only develops to the point where there's a thalamus, right? That relay center that allows you to actually have experiences, not just, reflexes, but experiences until well into the third trimester. And so up until then, it doesn't look like a fetus can experience pain or pleasure or any other sensation. We're not even talking about thoughts here, just sensations. And as a philosophical issue, I don't think a literally mindless creature is the right kind of entity to have any kind of moral or legal rights at all. Now, sometimes people respond to this point by saying that, well, what about people who already exist as a creature with a mind, but then they go into a coma or for some other reason they become temporarily mindless? I'm not really persuaded by that analogy. That seems pretty different to me, but maybe we can get into that later in the discussion. But to my mind, all of this is kind of beside the point for the larger issue, which is that even if you do think a fetus is a person, even if you completely disagree with what I just said about that topic, and you define person in some way that doesn't require the ability to have thoughts or feelings or sensations of any kind, forcing a pregnant woman to share her body with that person against her bigger violation if the government instituted an organ donation lottery where they'll draft you and make you donate your organs. If you think that would be wrong, you should also think that laws against abortion are wrong. And final point I'd make here is that the phrase right to life is easy to say. It rolls off the tongue. It feels like we're talking about just one thing, but really we're talking about a bunch of different rights or possible rights that someone could have, some of which are uncontroversial, some of which are super controversial. One thing the right to life means is that you can't be stabbed to death while you're walking down the street minding your own business. Okay, that's uncontroversial. But another thing that many people, like me, think the right to life means is that if that does happen to you, the stabbing victim has a right to be treated at the taxpayer's expense, through some sort of Medicare for all or National Health Service kind of system. That's also something that could be defended as the right to life. But these are very different rights. And in order to argue about whether we actually have all of them, we'd have to get into much bigger issues about things like property rights and the legitimate role of government. I can't just kind of say a right to life and that's it, in my view. And so similarly, when we're talking about grounds for a moral objection to abortion, much less to making abortion illegal, and you talk about that as a right to life, you're talking about a third very different kind of right to life, which is the right to inhabit the body of a person. And when you talk about that, even aside from the fact that we are talking about a literally mindless organism at this point, having that right to inhabit somebody else's body, then I think we're talking about something really specific, which is forced pregnancy, which seems to me like one of the most authoritarian things that a government can do to somebody is forcing them to share their body with another person against their will.
You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. to access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive post-games on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.